Bienvenidos todos a la Nahuacali. Nos da un gusto enorme que en esta ocasión podamos presentarles este evento que para nosotros es el resultado de muchos años de trabajo, de una relación que hemos construido con Dirk Denison y todo su equipo y el jurado de este maravilloso premio, del cual el Anahuacalli y Mauricio Rocha fuimos galardonados con el primer lugar hace 2 años, el primer lugar del MCHAP, que es el premio a lo mejor de la arquitectura en América, es un gran orgullo. Y haber construido esta relación y presentarles hoy aquí a los 5 finalistas de este año es otro gran orgullo. Dir, muchas gracias por esta relación, muchas gracias por todo este trabajo, por seguir juntos, por ir de la mano, Mauricio, con todo este trabajo. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí, a el Banco de México, a la subgobernadora Galia por estar con nosotros, al fideicomiso y a cada uno de ustedes por estar este momento con nosotros y por ser parte de lo que hoy es el Anahuacalli. El Anahuacalli está vivo, vibra y nos emocionamos todo el tiempo con estos eventos. Gracias y muy buenos días a todos.
Director Terry, thank you so much for welcoming us. We can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be here today, both to conclude and announce the 5 finalists for the 5th cycle of MCHAP, but also to be back here in Anahuacalli. And we want to thank the whole crew here who've been amazing at getting us set up and ready for today. Carla and Rodo, and especially in addition to Tara, for your wonderful friendship that we've built over these last 2 years since Anahuacalli won the 4th cycle of the America's Prize. I want to start by making some general comments and to talk a little bit about MCHAP as a project before I turn it over to the jury and Maurice Cox, our chair, to announce the finalists. Every visit that I make to this vibrant place renews my belief in the power of architecture. Anahuacalli is a repository of history where we encounter and gain perspective on the past, but it is also an icon of history for today. It is a monument not only to culture, but also to communities that give it life. The impressive collection of buildings is a reflection of dynamism and significance in this city. I continually am inspired, as we all are at MCHAP, by the overflowing creativity of Mexico. So I want to just have a round of applause for you hosting us here and for everything that the creative talent of Mexico is contributing to architecture. In the decade since we founded MCHAP, we have uncovered a critical quality, which we find here in abundance: the commitment by individuals and organizations who put initiatives in place to make design happen at the highest possible levels. Initiatives like Sedatu and Polaris have produced a framework of design for experimentation and solutions at a sweeping and impactful scale. It has been amazing to witness the new flowering of an architectural culture in real time. I'm so honored that MCHAP has been able to immerse itself in this presence and the legacy again as we begin to share the finalists and the jury's finding for this cycle. I would like to greet all of you on behalf of our students and our faculty at the College of Architecture at IIT in Chicago, the home of MCHAP. We are very honored today to have our dean, the Rowe Dean Architecture College, Reed Kroloff, with us today. Reed, would you stand? We are also equally honored to have members of the MCHAP International Board and our college board with us. Linda Pollack, David Rockwell, Timur Gallen. Also, we are very fortunate to have members of the IIT College of Architecture Board, Chandra Goldsmith-Gray and Jennifer Morgenstern. We have put together an amazing crew of our kind of convivial and friendship traveling with us today. I'd like to make special welcome to Chief Perlman and Barbara Graustock, who are traveling with us here, as well as Stephen Gray, Jane, and Linda Jenneray. Thank you all for being with us. I need to acknowledge also that MCHAP is a team effort, and we're very fortunate to, I want to thank Shasta Zanko, who's not with us today, who's my coordinator for all operations. But with us today are our MCHAP fellow, which is a postgraduate position that Jayhawk Reese Julian has with us today. Tyler Waldo, David Salkin, my partner, and Pablo Gerson, who is our cinematographer, who's an essential part of the project of MCHAP. We want to make a special welcome to members of the MCHAP laureates. These are architects whose projects have been awarded by the past cycles. Collectivo 733, Rosana Montiel Studio, Estudio MMX, Gava Talier de Arquitectura, Mercedes Paredo, Tatiana Bilbao Estudio, Taller Capital, and Michelle Roykin from Mexico. Please welcome them all. We also have Daniel Bedoya here from Colombia, which we're pleased to have that far-reaching. Our family is all 35 countries of North and South America, and our conversation is that broad as we look at the impact that we're having. We're also very pleased to have our laureate for our newly named prize, the Phyllis Lambert Agent of Excellence, and Roman Meyer is the first recipient of the prize that was given for his work at Polaris. Please acknowledge Roman Meyer Falcon. I want to also take the moment to thank our partners, of course, Anna Makali, Tara, and her team. I want to thank Mikhail and Andrea at Arkeen for their partnership on media, and for Zona Mako and Zelika for partnering with us on our audience. So thank you guys for that. Please. So what I wanted to do is just to share with you a bit about the prize. We are an initiative that has two actual prizes. We give the America's Prize, which is what we're speaking to today, as well as a prize for practices in their first 10 years, which is called MCHAP Emerge. This starts with nominations throughout North and South America. We have over 100 confidential nominators who are people who care about the physical world. They're curators, they're editors, they're artists, they're architects, they're designers who are constantly watching, seeing with their own eyes, experiencing themselves how architecture is improving lives. Those nominations are then all submitted to us and blended into our teaching. Our laureates teach at IIT and throughout. We're doing a whole studio with Monterey Tech University for the last 2 years and 4 years to come. We do research and publication. Each of the laureates receives a grant towards research and publications. Our network is a conversation where we're always looking for partnerships. So happy to, any of you in the crowd have an idea, we'd love to hear it. Our administration development, all of our funding, operating funding, is raised externally through the generosity of philanthropies and individuals. And then our scholarships, just like the program, the fellowship that Jayhawk is part of. So it's a multifaceted initiative that's based in the College of Architecture. Here you can see the teaching going on, the lectures, all of our laureates and come and are invited to speak, and whether it was virtual during COVID or in person. This is a series of the 6 publications that we've already completed. We have a publication partnering with Arkeen, coming out on Rosana Montiel's winning publication on the art of architecture, art in architecture. And we're also working with Sana and Sejima-san on their publication on construction detailing and materiality, forthcoming hopefully still this year. We also have a robust exhibit program that happens in Crown Hall, our our signature home, but also through the Chicago Architecture Biennial and other exhibition forums. We love to engage audiences as we move through each of the locations as the jury travels. We bring the community in and have conversations. And then we have, since the very beginning, announced, as we are today, the finalist somewhere other than Chicago. We actually started in Montreal at the Canadian Center for Architecture. Then we were in Santiago, Chile. Then we were here in Mexico. And then we were in Detroit. And last year we were in Medellin, Colombia. Our jury is the essential element. Each year we let the jury, through their experiences and expertise, define the nature of what we do. And we've had its outstanding cross-section where we are looking at geography, we're looking at their expertises and their vision of the world, gender, and generational. You can see here our last 4 jury members. And just to review our winning projects from the earlier cycles, the first cycle, 1111 Lincoln Road, Miami Beach, the Porto Alegre Museum by CISA, and Concepcion Poli House by Sophia von Ehrlichhausen and Peso, who is with us today on our jury. We have Zocala Productura for their project here. New Canaan, Connecticut by Sana, the Grace Farms. The third cycle winning was Edificio A by Barclay Cruz in Piura, Peru, and Rosana Montiel's transformation of public space in housing. And last cycle, in Nogales, Mexico, the Tala Capital Water Management and Community Center, which is part of the Sedatu one of the dozens and dozens of Sedatu projects that have been nominated for MCHAP, was our winner, and of course, Anawakali. Yay to all of the past laureates. We're also very excited that we have already given our Emerge finalists and prize winner for this year, done in September of this last year. And we are acknowledging the Polaris projects by the practice Mo here. And in the winning project is a project in Ecuador, which is a women's millinery center where they were involved in building as well as in operating their own facility. So here we are today. This is the announcement I just mentioned. Here we are today. And here is Roman, along with Phyllis Lambert, who is the founder of the Canadian Center for Architecture and a agent of excellence herself, presenting at 97 years old, Roman, in Chicago last May. So it was an amazing experience for all of us. Part of the process is that we start with these, 250 or 300 nominated projects, and then we narrow it down to a more closely an analyzed group. We also announced these outstanding projects early in our cycle so that those authors and the clients for the projects can have time to acknowledge the light that we're shedding on their work. From those, then the jury chooses a set of projects to visit, and through that process, you can see where the projects are throughout the Americas. They are there in person. It's up to the jury each cycle, which you're going to hear about in a minute, to determine what the more specific criteria are, whether it has to do with the power of vision, it has to do with equitable use of resources, has to do with public housing and community engagement. These are the topics that change each time based on the jury. Here you see them in Crown Hall a year ago, first evaluating the projects. The exhibition form starts in this way. We have a digital interface when we call the architects and say, your project has been nominated. They submit through a portal that's all the same graphic, so that everyone's projects looks the same graphically, and just the architecture stands out to distinguish it. We engage as part of that process in the seminar. The students prepare for the jury's visits and the finalists as well. This is then part of the jury travel that I explained as we go throughout the Americas, visiting the work firsthand, meeting the people behind it, the architects, the designers, the landscape architects, structural engineers, as well as, very importantly, the clients. We are a prize that goes to the project, so the entire team is acknowledged in our initiatives. And then as we started last cycle, Pablo travels with us for the entire process and creates an overview of our process, but also then we create a video expose of each of the jury's experience on each of our finalist projects. It is now my great pleasure to introduce to you our jury for cycle 5, starting with Greg Pasquarelli. Greg is a fellow in the American Institute of Architects and is a founder of the award-winning MCHAP Architects, what we think is one of the most inventive and robust practices in America. He has been the center of creativity and collaborations for his innovative practice by creating new models of design, master planning, construction technologies, and strategies for real estate development. Greg has taught in many places over these last 25 years, including Columbia, Yale, and Virginia. You're welcome again. Yeah. Giovanni Brasi, next, is the director and chief curator of the Canadian Center for Architecture in Montreal. She has been in the positions of directorship, of editorship, and has made her contribution in many, many different ways. She's published widely and has been directly involved with Architecture Plus, Domus, 2G, Carta, Harvard Design Magazine, eFlux, and Plot, among others. Welcome, Giovanna. As I mentioned, Sofia von Ehrlichhausen, she is an Argentine-Chilean architect, artist, and educator. In 2002, together with Maurizio Peso, she founded the art and architecture studio, Peso von Ehrlichhausen. She has been the Louis Kahn visiting professor at Yale University and has also taught at the University of California, Berkeley, Cornell, Harvard, and Illinois Institute of Technology. Welcome, Sophia. Does not need an introduction to this crowd, but I will give a small, humble one. Maurizio Rocha is a Mexican architect and founder of Atelier Maurizio Rocha. The firm produces public and private projects at multiple scales, as well as museum graphy, ephemeral architecture, and art interventions. Rocha has received major architectural awards, both individually and for the firm, including first prize and 2 gold medals at the Bienal de Arquitectura Mexicana, and in the Bienal Pan America, and in the Biennial Latino Americana, and most recently, the 2023 Mies Crown Hall America's Prize. Welcome, Maurizio. And immediately to my right, Maurice Cox, who serves as our jury chair, is an American architect and urban planner. He has served in unbelievable roles during his public service, starting as a faculty member at UVA. He ran for city council and was elected mayor. He then was in New Orleans during Katrina, helping to rebuild the city. From there, I missed the National Endowment of the Arts. He was the director for the U.S. National Endowment of the Arts of the design sector. Then Detroit planning director in a moment when the city was rethinking its possibilities. And then through an amazing collaboration with Lori Lightfoot, mayor of Chicago, who was creating a transformational team, he came to become the director of development and planning for the city of Chicago, and was my colleague on the faculty at IIT. Since we started the cycle, Maurice has been appointed the Bloomberg Professor of Planning at the Graduate School of Design at Harvard. So Maurice, thank you for everything and welcome. What we thought would be nice to do before Maurice announces the finalists is to ask the jury to share their experience over the last year seeing the great creativity and the challenges that's of our time. Greg, can we start with you?
Sure. Hello, everybody. It's been a remarkable experience. We're together now a year, I think, about, and it'll be a little bit longer till May in Chicago. But I think it was incredibly interesting for me looking at the work that had been finished in the last couple of years, that a lot of that work was either designed or built or completed during the pandemic. And so after, all of us sort of banding together and thinking about the work we had to do and sort of focusing internally, it was an incredible experience to see what everyone has been doing with incredible creativity across North and South America. I was completely blown away by the amount of creativity in Mexico and South America, and it was very inspiring and, threw down the gauntlet, like we better do better in New York, that small island nation off the coast of America. And, it's been wonderful, not only for the friendships, but that we formed during this time, but also traveling and seeing how everybody is attacking many of the same problems and what methods they're using to make the world a better place. And that raw material, by doing this travel, I think is something that we'll all benefit from as we continue with our work forward. So it's been an honor and a privilege to do so.
Thanks, Greg. I can simply just echo the privilege that we have experienced in being on the jury among this group. I think you all visited or this place, so you can only imagine the intelligence of our conversations, having all these amazing people, looking at architecture all together. I think for me, the impressive thing of the MCHAP, the American Award, is that, in a moment where we tend to divide, makes nations, more kind of borders, the award really, make from Canada down to Patagonia as one place. And obviously the architecture is very different. It's very related to the context, the way each architect has been working. But the fact that we are in this conversation, and then that we as a jury, we have learned from all these projects, but there are all these moments of encounters, like here in Chicago, and that through architecture, this conversation is happening, and that is thinking about how we exchange, how we learn, how we exchange, how we do things, and how we can learn from each other. It's not been easy, I have to say. We were presented with more than 200 projects, and we had to kind of, through that, intelligent but quite selective board, to understand so many projects. And we had to kind of come up with, criteria or values that are not only our personal values, but somehow as a jury, what we think is important beyond, I would say, the formal aspect of the building, beyond the architecture itself. And I think many of the things we valued is how the projects involve the community, and the community is not only humans, but beyond that, how there is a kind of lasting impact, or how transformational are these projects. So that somehow we didn't decide it before, but through continuous talking and looking at the projects, we felt like these are some, and I'm sure my colleague will point to some of the elements we thought that is important to value, especially in this moment of like, what is the things are important for architecture.
Hello. I find it strange to be speaking in English to a Mexico, but
you can switch.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yes, it's been a fantastic experience, not only for all of us, the MCHAP extended team, because it's not just the ones you're seeing here. There's so many people making this happen, and I must say, with every cycle, I think they get better and more ambitious, and more far-reaching. What I think has been fabulous to observe in our process that went from a very abstract panel to being inside a building by a winner is to confirm something we all need, I think, in this world of tumultuous divisions, that there is a strong optimism towards buildings that get built. It's not the image of a building, it's not the photograph of a building, but the seriousness with which we walk into the spaces, we are confronted with all the users, and actually verify that they work, they really work on site. So that has been, and it is, I mean, the ethos of the prize, and extremely enriching for us to experience as a group. Maybe another aspect that we were very surprised by is that, of course, from the enormous richness of the Americas, there's no, it's beautiful to confirm that there's no scale, there's no program, there's no material that is a recipe for success. That it's always about an intelligent team of architects collaborating with the experts in their communities, with the builders, whatever the scale might be, that they make some sort of alchemy to turn whatever program, whatever scale, whatever budget into something that is, yeah, it's unbelievably powerful. So that has been wonderful to experience.
Thank you.
Well, everything is done, same, but I can add maybe two things or three. First, it's important how the MCHAP is. First, the nominators are doing some work, so the architects are not showing the work. It's about nominators, and about that, it's beginning the first list of buildings. That I think this is nice because then it's like a big selection of different curators. With that, we have to work in the beginning, and a hard work because, as we say, is the architecture is not the image; it's more than that. So then we have to talk a lot about the conditions of every work. We have to make some relations and maybe go to the internet and see how works in every building, the conditions to really make the good decisions in the first step. I mean, all these nominator projects to understanding projects, no? And when we have these outstanding projects, the next step is to have these 5 that make us more and more the connection of how can we see this building not only in the image and trying to get more insight. Some of them we see it for some situations because in America or Mexico or Latin America, but some others no. So we need to make a lot of work to go the more deep we can, because as they say, we say, we don't want to take the image, we want to take the content, the contents of every building and the relation of these buildings with the community and with the places, and what means that acupuncture buildings to the places, no? I was in one side and now I am in the other side. I mean, I didn't know how they nominate my work. I was in one moment say, okay, they visit my building, but I don't know who are the other finalists. They were very in the last jury, and I think now we're very discreet about this because it's important. And so you begin to see how even some people in the jury that the people, but they were very silent, not talking about nothing about. So, and I didn't ask it either. So it's nice how it's like a very professional the way we do this, because nobody is asking about nothing, and and it happens when I was in competition, and now happens now because nobody is asking to us the things, no? And as I was talking with somebody, some people today, it's true that it's difficult. Some buildings, and I think Guanajuato is one of that buildings that is important to walk in the building, to have experience in the building, and to feel the different sensations in the experience of the building. So one more time, it's very important in this price, different than others, that they make the opportunity to visit 5 or 6 buildings. And with that, is other happens to us. We have a very different experience in every of these 5 buildings when we visit the buildings. We talk a lot of that. We go one time in the morning, one time in the night. We talk with the people who lives the places, how works the place. So everything together, not only the building by the building, the building in the places, with the community, with the city, or I mean, with it. So with that, more and more is important for us to have these elements, political, ethical, that make the buildings in other positions. As they say, doesn't matter the budget, doesn't matter the scale, doesn't matter the materials. The important is intelligent and sensibility way to make something that make something to change the idea of the space, make a more dignity for the people that live the places.
Beautiful. Thank you. You want to raise? That's great. Turn it over to you now.
Wow. So you have just had a little glimpse of the extraordinary conversation that we have been in for a year. Being able to verify the power of these projects on site is a unique moment, and I think it enriched an amazing conversation across the Americas. And so I have the privilege and the honor to present what we've all been waiting for, which are the 5 finalists. They're being presented in the order in which we visited them. And the first MCHAP finalist is the Thaden School. The powerful interpretation of a new academic pedagogical mission of youth learning while doing is matched by an equally powerful campus design, steeped in the rural culture of its place. The barn, the porch, and the long and low farm buildings of Arkansas are assembled to create a new type of public gathering space, keeping in scale with the surrounding fabric. The design of 5 academic buildings loosely scattered within a garden landscape of different characters successfully creates an environment of constant indoor and outdoor porosity and play. Students and the general public richly gather and commingle under outwardly facing porches and covered passageways that shelter outdoor activities and framed views, encouraging the movement through spaces with a strong community orientation. Within the comfort of containment, this campus, masterfully composed, allows for natural flows of people, wildlife, and weather. We present to you the Thaden School. So the second of the MCHAP finalists is Pump House, an urban plot that had no future, pushing against zoning restrictions and challenging the regulatory envelope. The project builds a contemporary way of living within the memory of an industrial archaeology, a series of smart strategies allow the maximum of identity to the pump house. The new residential use, views, private and shared spaces in this complex urban lot. The abandoned pump house seems to extend its precise and rigorous material language beyond its original enclosure. The small domestic interiors expand into shared spaces and circulation that animate the block in all directions. The units are elevated, making way for the new use of alleys and a series of pockets of communal spaces. The pump house. The third of the MCHAP finalists is Guaraqual Veterinarian Clinic. Despite the synthetic decisions and sharp material palette, this subtraction within a pre-existing house is in no way reductive. Quite the opposite. The generous volume of air and light adds to a wide range of readings of this new piece. A serene and ventilated waiting room, stimulating the interaction of all of its users, a passage to the hidden garden plaza that draws the sidewalk into the backyard, a temple-like city lantern radiating light at night. It is the ultimate political project, making the city one small piece at a time. On a tight lot, recycling its structure, taking a normal program and elevating it to improve everyday life for humans and non-humans alike. Veterinary clinic.
Not sure what
Okay.
Something, hold on, went back somehow from Operation Central. Okay, hey,
Okay. The Eco Park at Bacalar. A mangrove, a square, and a promenade. A strong idea that transcends its materiality. Rarely does a line materialize into a passerelle, do so many things at once. This linear topography, slightly tilted to give each of its corners a different height and hence a different experience, manages to combine a healthy ecosystem with an open air museum, a public space for swimming, walking, and jogging, while offering the users a new opportunity and perspective on recreation and learning. Paradoxically, this protective perimeter preserves nature while also allowing thousands of people to enjoy a highly fragile yet mainly privatized shoreline, heightening consciousness of its unique endangered ecosystem and becoming a part of the signature identity of Bacalar. Eco Park Bacalar. The fifth and final of the MCHAP winners is Mazatlan Aquarium and Sea of Cortez Research Center. The Gran Acuario Mazatlan is activating an underutilized park and lagoon of a seaside resort town. A massive series of walls conceptualized as a discovered ruin inhabited by birds, fish, plants, and water. This arrangement sets up a series of beautifully composed mise-en-scene one-point perspective view corridors replete with dramatic oculi, allowing light to frame the water displays. A non-prescriptive circulation pattern allows the visitor to wander and discover, easily moving between moody indoor rooms, glowing tanks of water holding the aquatic species, and outdoor gardens open to the sky. The mechanical complexity of such a program is deftly concealed to allow for a fluid and effortless experience of the exhibition space. A building that is driven by the spectacle of a captured nature. It amazes and delights the public as it connects to the surrounding park landscape and paves the way for an elevated and public architecture for the city as a whole, the Mazatlan Aquarium.
Thank you, Maurice, and all of our jurors. And just one more round of applause for all of our finalists, please. I just want to take this minute to, with heartfelt appreciation, thank our jury for your commitment, for your focus, for your understanding. They are new family, and it's been a personal pleasure and an expanding intellectual experience to spend this last year with you. So may I have another round of thanks for them? However, their work is not over yet. The hardest decision yet to come is to make a decision about the final project. We award all of the finalists an MCHAP project award, which we do when we invite everyone back to Chicago, which this year will be on May 5th. So all of the finalists and their clients come together and we'll spend 3 days in a workshop talking about the current issues in the world of architecture and focusing on some specific design solutions, looking at our campus in Chicago at IIT. Also part of the award ceremony is a very important element, in that the award ceremony itself, which you are all invited to attend, is a benefit. It's how we raise all of our operating expenses to take the jury around to all of the places. The university pays my salary as a professor and gives us a home, but there's many more expenses beyond that. So, and I want to make special mention today to the co-chair of our benefit, Michelle Holland, who is here with her husband, Glenn, on the trip with us, and thank God for you. So I also want to acknowledge Casey Jones, who is with us, who's a member of our International Advisory Council as well. Casey, thank you for being with us. So I now just, we have a convivial reception. Maurizio has positioned us in the one of the underbellies of the building, and we hope you'll all join us for a refreshment. So thank you. Any final remarks? Okay, great. Well, thank you.